All right, meeting's being recorded and letting everyone in
So just
from the waiting
so you
room.
guys know, your mics are off until you want to speak.
Yeah, green go, red off.
All right, so it's Wednesday, December 17th, 2025 at 6:30, and we have quorum of the planning board. So I'll go to item one. I'll call the meeting to order. I'm Patrick Driscoll, the chair. Michael McDonald, the vice chair, is on Zoom. To my left is Mr. Chris John Fabrowski, Mr. Thomas Pratty, Mr. Stephen Geller, and Mr. Eric Costa. Shane O'Brien, Mr. Shane O'Brien is our town planner. Also online, we have Mr. Stephen Solari, the building commissioner, and Mr. Greg Tanzi, the town engineer. So item one, we called to order. Item two, this is a definitive subdivision plan, public hearing continuation. This is for 593 Plymouth Street. This is Barty Investment Group LLC. This is a proposed subdivision titled Revelation Road with 6 buildable lots and 2 drainage lots and 5.9 acres of land as per the Bridgewater subdivision rules and regulations. This was continued from December 3rd, 2025. I should have mentioned before I open that public hearing that it is being recorded. And because Mr. McDonald is on Zoom, the votes will be roll calls. So, Mr. Silva, do you want to, I'll turn it over to you.
Sure. The previous hearing, we had discussed a version of the plan in which it had gone out for review, and there were a number of comments that came back from town engineer and also other departments. And the key one from other departments was basically a lack of support for water or sewer for the project. And I will say that that was contrary to earlier discussions that had been made between my client and the departments. But that being said, we went through significant plan changes in response to the issues raised by DPW and also by the town engineer. And so the plan set, the second plan set with those changes in them was reviewed by town engineer. He reported back, and we've gone through the comments that had been presented. And I want to say, for the most part, I think that we've pretty much addressed the comments that he had. So I don't know how much do you want me to go through what those revised plans? Well, I think it was discussed at last meeting. No, it was not. So since that time, since the site walk. Right. And then when we submitted the revised plans, we haven't had a public hearing since then, right? Okay. Right. Yeah. So the first round of comments that Greg had made, there were a number of comments in there that required some significant changes, mostly because if we can go to the layout plan, nothing really changed here. Well, what really changed here was one of the comments that had been made before was that the drainage lot in the back did not have 20 foot of frontage on the roadway. As you can see, the drainage lot in the back now does have that. It's not a separate parcel with an access easement, which is what we had on the earlier version. The configuration of it was a little bit different because when we were addressing some of the other comments as it related to the basin, we made some adjustments to those lots 5 and 6 in order to make sure that we could address the drainage basin comments. The biggest change was to road grade itself. And part of that was to address comments that were, if you can go to the grading and drainage one. The grading and drain in the front of the site, we have to collect some of the water before we get to the crest in the hill. So we lowered the profile, and by doing that, we were able to catch the overflow from drainage lot A. From the infiltrators and the collector there, we were able to have an overflow that would take it all the way to the back of the site. Where before on the earlier design, we did not have the ability to do that. And it was difficult to make that happen because you had to really bring it back a long distance with not a lot of elevation change to make that happen. But we were able to make that work by cutting the road down. And at the same time, we addressed his comment with the grades in the first 100 feet, 200 feet, meeting the requirements in the subdivision. So that flattened out the first pot, which meant that you were going to be cutting in anyway. So we're able to meet that and then bring that road profile down. But we still were able to make it so that we could get that drainage to the back. Barely, but we got it to the back. So you can see the difference between existing grade and proposed grade. There is a chunk of the site from about station, I can't read the station numbers, but for about 500 feet or so, where, there is a cut. And then we catch up to the grade, and we're pretty much following the grade until we get to the back where the basin is. And then we're in a little bit of a fill situation over there. So other changes that were of significance were that we obviously completed all the perk tests on the site so that we do have suitable soils for the septic systems because we're not tying into sewer. And that we've also positioned a well for each one of the duplex units because of the sort of lack of support for water connections at this point. Although we are leaving stubs in front of each one, and we are bringing a main line down the road itself for fire protection. But for consumption at this point, we're relying on wells until something changes here in the future. Then maybe at that point, or if there was a problem with wells, that we'd always have the ability to try to connect into water in the future. Not to put those in would be a mistake, I think, to put in stubs for a future connection. And pretty much those are the major changes that occurred in terms of what we laid out. But we did create, or we did accomplish all our test pits and testing for all the septics. In the back where the basin is, we made the adjustments to make sure that we had separation from property lines to the beginning of the basins, the large basin in the back, and the reconfiguration of the one in the front. We feel it's not a typical detention kind of basin. It's a chamber with an overflow, so it's not really. We really don't believe that that's subject to the same kind of setback to property lines and so forth. But I think that, this is, I think the design as it is now is better. I think the critical reviews and responding to the reviews makes it a better product. And I thank Greg for putting the time and effort to both review the first set of plans and the second set of plans in order to get to that point. And I think that the other issue really is that we're showing 6 lots, which we are intending to do duplexes. The number of units on a dead-end street comes into the question in the bylaws. But we're asking for the board to allow for the 6 lots on that dead-end street. Keeping in mind that this is 2 things. One is the dead end is only 750 feet long. You could go as far as 1,500 feet on a dead-end street and be a legal dead-end street. So this is half the limit as to what's allowed for a dead-end street. And also, I do want to call out the fact that Edge Hill Drive, the subdivision that adjoins this, the plan of record for Edge Hill Drive had a 40-foot connector to this land for the purposes of connecting a future roadway there. I say that, and if you look it up, there was never a modification made to that plan through the modification process to take away that 40-foot right of way. What happened incorrectly procedurally was that the developer of that subdivision came back to the planning board that was in place at the time, and they brought a Form A plan. And they changed the configuration of those lots and took that 40-foot right of way out of the position it was in. And that's what created the fact that we have a disconnect between what the record plan says and what's really out there in the real world. Because right now in the real world, the house was built on top of that 40-foot right of way. And my contention is that when that original subdivision was approved, the consideration was that there would be something happening on this other lot at some point in time in the future, and therefore the 40-foot right of way was provided for that purpose. And we can't take back the fact that it was taken away from that subdivision. It wasn't done the proper way, but I ask that you consider the fact that had we had it, we would have made that connection. We would not be looking at a dead-end street to get that sixth lot. And in this case, we are asking for it. And so I ask for that to be part of the rationale for the board granting the right to have 6 lots on the dead-end street. I think that's pretty much the summary of it. And I'd answer whatever questions that the board members have.
But just while you're on the 40-foot right away on the other street, but Shane provided us with the minutes of that meeting.
Yep.
It doesn't appear that the former owner had any rights to that 40-foot right away.
What do you mean he didn't have any rights to it?
Well, he didn't have any ownership, or he didn't have an easement, or he didn't have any. So the owner of this land prior to the current owner never
Dowling. You're talking about Dowling.
never negotiated any rights to that 40-foot.
No.
So they never
But the planning board, in order to, and this was even a practice back when I was on the planning board in the early 80s, was that when a dead-end street was being constructed, what you tried to do was to leave a 40-foot connector to an adjacent property so that we wouldn't end up with all the dead-end streets. And at that time, the concern was every subdivision along Cross Street and every subdivision along Forest Street, none of them connected. And the first one that ever connected was done later. We did one on Leggy Street. But for all those, like you look at Apple Tree Circle, any of those kind, they all had 40-foot connectors in hopes that another development would take that across to the other street.
So in the documents that Shane sent us, though, the minutes, it talks about how the planning board was against leaving it there. It was at the request of the highway superintendent.
Yes.
And then they also said that he didn't have rights to it. Actually, Dallin asked the question if he had rights to it, and they said, no, you would have to go back and negotiate that if you want, to purchase that at a later date. So
That's fine.
So Mr. Dallin didn't have rights to that property.
But if it was in place, he would have the ability to negotiate that. If that 40-foot right-of-way was there and somebody owned the fee for that 40-foot right-of-way, there would have been the ability to do that, but it's not there. How do you negotiate it?
But just to clarify, he never negotiated a successful agreement, correct?
He didn't develop the land at that time.
And he never obtained any rights to that piece, correct?
He didn't have rights to the piece. It was something laid out based on the planning board wanting it and why did the highway superintendent want it?
It says right in the agreement, it would not be part of the right of way. In the minutes of that night, it says that Mr. Dallin is responsible for negotiating, and the board doesn't guarantee anything.
They don't guarantee it, but the fact that the planning board said that they wanted to provide for the provision for a 40-foot right-of-way to connect over to that land would be part of the reasoning why Edge Hill was approved. So if the developer wanted to eliminate it in the future, he should have gone through a modification process.
And I don't disagree with that, but I'm asking the question, the former owner never had rights to that piece of land.
He did not have it at that time, no.
Thank you. What about the retaining wall by the drainage basin? Can you explain the height of that retaining wall? I don't understand how high that retaining wall is, but it's the retaining wall by drainage lot A. Right by the chamber.
It's only a couple of feet high. It's only to provide for the separation between the right of way and the area where the chambers are. I think the height is about 2 feet.
Well, and just looking at that though, don't our regulations say that you can't have a retaining wall in the right of way?
It says that a right of way, a retaining wall,
So the language,
public way.
I can recite the language.
So I guess what I would say to you is if the retaining wall remains within the right of way, it should be an obstacle to a road that wanted to become a public way accepted by the town in the future, because the retaining walls cannot be in public ways that are maintained by the town.
The
In
way,
a private way, I would say that that's not the case.
regarding retaining walls of our subdivision rules and regulations state, retaining walls shall be installed where deemed necessary by the town engineer or designee and approved by the planning board and shall comply with specifications set forth in standard specifications for highways and bridges as amended. All fences and walls are to be constructed outside the road layout. All retaining walls shall be designed, certified, and stamped by a registered structural engineer.
So
Okay.
I just looked at that would have to be another waiver, right?
Yeah, I mean, either that, yeah, it would either have to be a waiver. For us to move it outside, we're talking about moving it 2 to 3 feet, maybe. Yeah, 2 to 3 feet, we could get it outside of the right of way. And we would just move the chambers over a little bit, the grading on that side.
And there's
But
no,
we can't accomplish it if that's,
there's no retaining wall in the back. That's just a fence. I saw on one plan, it seemed like there was a retaining wall called out. But that, just going through the, plan, like, that is just a fence, is that correct? The grades look like they tie in, so it doesn't look like any walls needed, but I thought I saw on one of the plans, it said a retaining wall. Right there.
Yeah, it says fence.
Just a fence, right?
wall and a fence on that side, those behind property lines.
A wall and a fence?
Yes, that's at the rear of those lots.
So there'll be a retaining wall constructed there?
A retaining wall and a fence on top of it. But those are to the rear of the lots.
What's the top of that wall height?
But we got 66, 67, 68, trying into 65, so you got 3 feet, which is why the fence is there. And they are.
Because you got some funky grade changes going down to the next lot.
Right, and I like the concept, like the open space and everything. Was there any thought given to just to help the overall site, bringing the road back 150 feet and reducing that one lot? So you have more open space, less road, all that stuff?
I don't see where that would actually,
You pulled the cul-de-sac back basically to lot 3.
well, I mean, we're talking about,
So then you'd go down to, then you wouldn't need the waiver. You'd have more open space.
well, but you gotta remember now that you heard a presentation about what's proposed here for this subdivision in terms of it being a community, and removing 2 units from that really changes the dynamics, the economics and everything in terms of making that be a sustainable project in terms of a community.
Yeah, and just I guess to the point of open space, ironic enough, we discussed that couple meetings ago jointly with CED. The definition of our open space currently does incorporate drainage as well.
Right, but that's not my point. My point was that there'd be more open space. I'm not asking if it meets the requirement. I'm saying it would provide more open space.
Sure.
They're asking for a waiver. You could have.
Oh, yeah, I get that. I understand that.
All right, that's my, any board questions?
I see that you guys have well on property. For 2 units.
For each duplex.
How would that be over there? Well. It would be. So if you had one well, wouldn't you want one well per unit? No?
Well, you get, we show one for each duplex because from a practical point of view, if you were to try to do individual wells, they're just going to be intercepting pretty much the same aquifer in that way.
So
We would split, you would have them, the well would draw and then it would just split off in terms of the flow from it.
So will the wells be dealt with by the organization, by the?
Oh, yes,
So
they
they
would
would
be
have to, everybody.
out of the HOA and
Yeah.
just like you have on a duplex site, you would have common areas and exclusive areas. And that well would be something that's a common area. Now, one of the things that we do differently, because the more critical item is really septics. And what we used to see in the past when you had duplexes and they had sort of a shared septic, it was always a bone of contention because when somebody had an issue with one, they always blamed the other side that they were the ones that were introducing issues and stuff. So we stay away from it when it comes to septics. We keep them, separate like that. I don't see that same kind of an issue on a well. But
I
that's
think if it's, by the association, I guess it would work.
in the association would be have that clearly in there being the responsibility.
And on that topic, Mr. Silva, testing's been done to ensure that these locations are viable for wells.
I'm
Yes, sir.
sorry.
Testing's been done on these locations to ensure those wells will be viable, that they would, produce water.
When it comes to wells, no, we don't have anything until a well is actually driven to see how deep that well would need to go in order to provide for the gallonage per day that's needed, the rate. But in this area, it's not expected that these wells will be extraordinarily deep. You're probably looking at something in the 100 to 200 foot range.
Okay, thank you very much.
Larry, this will be one association, all the properties have one common.
Yes, that would be, and that includes the building in the front, the farmhouse building that you guys had a chance to see during the site walk.
So it's going to be, I'm sorry, it's going to be one HOA because from my experience in terms of duplexes on private roadways, it does get funky when it comes to, typically I would see HOA agreements for each of the houses, and then those HOA agreements tie into a different HOA agreement for the entirety of the subdivision. Just
You can.
Do you want to speak to
if
that?
you can speak to that.
And there's a lot of, you can have, I actually think the way they propose is better. Then you're not having somebody cut half the lawn and not half the lawn,
Right.
the whole
Yeah.
neighborhood's maintained. There's neighborhoods in Bridgewater, like Old Forge Road, for example, where it's just one condo association. And then the road was part of the condo association. It still is part of the condo association, or it can be Michael's Landing.
I just have flashbacks from Framingham. I'm sorry. It's okay.
I actually think, that's why I asked the questions. I think one-on-one's terrible.
Yes, the idea is to have it all in one cohesive unit. So the whole HOA will be called WH Farm. So White Heather Farm, which is what the original name of the farm was. And that was actually my professor's farm. I think I mentioned that at the site tour, Professor Dahl, and he lived there for 53 years. And he used to be an apple orchard.
Yeah.
From what I heard. So yeah, where the main house, so the front house that's there, that's existing, we're going to reactivate all the farm elements to that as well. So bringing in different gardening systems that can produce year round, which will be amazing. So the whole HOA will have fresh produce and there'll be stuff with the
And
community.
that's
so-
part of the HOA, is it part of the use of the
Yeah.
common area and so forth in
Yes.
in that farmhouse?
Absolutely.
So it's actually a nice, it's a different, but it's a nice type of project that we haven't really seen around here in a long time.
What, Mr. Tanzi talked about doing in one of the letters, he talked about this, the 2 feet of separation, you're not gonna verify until you go out there. In construction, back to us. You don't think that's worth looking at now before you get further along?
I suppose it would be safer. But if they don't have the 2 feet of separation, they'll have to redesign the drainage system.
I mean, don't you wanna?
I did want to point out to you, we had all, excuse me, I'm sorry. We had all intentions of going back out there before the snow happened, because the elevation that we showed on that test pit was based on the stakes that we had out there that were placed prior to us doing the test pits and the elevations on those stakes. That particular pit was done on the down gradient side of that test pit stake, which is still standing. Okay, and so we were going to go out there and actually locate where the pit was. Because it's all kind of like, as you know, when backfill, Greg, it's an area that's shown backfill. We were going to go back out, find the actual pit within it, so that we could find the differential elevation between there and the actual stake that's there, so we can get a true elevation of that pit to find out whether or not we did or did not have the 2 feet. And if we didn't, then we'd have to go to Plan B to deal with doing it at the time of construction or doing another test pit deep there. But there is a chance that the way it was positioned, it may actually be a more favorable elevation, and we may have the 2 foot that we didn't show on the plan because of that difference in the elevation. But we didn't get a chance to do it because the snow came, so.
And that's in the area of the Caltex? Or the Caltex?
So,
Do you think it?
Either way, we would deal with the issue to address that, to make sure that we have to.
Did you see the new comments that he made in regards to recharge chamber system B was modeled with its outflow pipe discharging to Plymouth Street? Has that been addressed?
that in the new comments, is the new one?
Correct.
I think the fair thing is, he said that even though if we change it, it will not help with the analysis. And we agree that although we have to correct the documentation, it does not change the results.
So it won't change the design at all?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, that's correct. It was just a modeling, minor, oversight, but in the 100-year storm, those recharge chambers too, they pick up a very small amount of runoff, and so the 100-year storm is infiltrated.
Check it out, make sure. Looks good. Yes. In a moment. I mean.
So from what I could tell, it wouldn't make a difference, but I was just commenting on it. I reviewed the calcs, and that was one thing that I found, and then I ran the numbers, and I really it didn't change anything because there's nothing coming out of the overflow. The overflow was directed towards Plymouth Street in the calculations, but it really gets directed out by the basin. But there's nothing coming out of it in the 100-year storm, so it really didn't matter.
we fix the model in iPad, you won't see a number.
Last question I have is the tree planting plan, is that on here somewhere, the landscape plan? The tree species and stuff like that? So, is that on here? Are these, I mean, these are the trees? No, the future. Do you have a landscape plan on here?
There is none. No, there is not one.
Not yet, I don't think, right?
I mean, I think at a minimum, we'd want the street trees added, right?
Yeah, there's been well, the street trees are shown on the plan as you can see up on the screen. But we can specify or ask the,
Street trees or the tie-ins? Doesn't it say tie-in?
no, those little green things. The trees. There's been situations where we've conditioned these street trees to be as long as they're compliant with what our street tree regulations are. As long as they use trees on our list, typically fine, but we can request what type of trees, as long as it's one of the
You know,
trees on our list.
And I would suggest to you that each one of these lots, which because we're coming back for special permit for the duplex use, that you got another bite at the apple to make sure that everything that you need or needs to be met in terms of that landscaping part in the front of each one of those lots is shown in detail on each one of those site plans.
You're proposing lanterns, correct? Or,
Yes,
okay.
driveway lands, yeah.
Yes, the landscape plan, I know that with the neighbors, they had some very specific requests alongside their properties. So that's the reason why I said, okay, we can just do it when we submit the actual building plans in and give a full layout of everything. Because I really want to incorporate their input, especially on alongside the property lines, like arborvitae's, they had some requests there. So that's the reason why it's not on. I think the existing ones are here, but we can absolutely get more specific. And you can also tell us, what's needed. We can make sure we incorporate that in the next round.
Any other board questions or comments? No? How about public comments? You have to come up and speak to us. You just state your name and address for the record, sir.
John Donna, I don't know if that's on John Donna, 261 South Street. I just wanted to be at the meeting tonight because I've been attending a lot of the town council meetings, and there's a lot of issues, problems in this town right now as far as water supply, school size, traffic. Our town was on the news, as you know, last week, Fox News Boston, a couple residents came out with brown water. There's still a water ban as far as I know. And after what I'm hearing at the town meetings all summer and fall and now, I'm just wondering why the town is entertaining projects like this. It's only going to exacerbate the problems we already have. Our school, granted, this particular one isn't that particularly large. But look what happened over at Pratttown. That whole area looks terrible. And there was that development that went in near Pratttown, similar to where this area is. I don't know if it's the same builder or not, but they're duplexes. It's multi-family housing. It looks terrible. It's taking all these projects, granted, one on its own isn't going to change anything. But they keep creeping in more and more and more. The school systems get worse. There's kids leaving. Parents are taking their kids out of the Bridgewater schools because they're getting 3 study halls a day because, as we all know, we had an override that didn't go through, and I'm not advocating one way or another for that. But there are some real crises in this town. And this building, this unattractive building, has to stop. And you can see and I've been going to all the MBTA meetings, you see what the state is forcing on us now. The governor and the state legislature. We've got a water crisis, and therefore, under this MBTA plan, if my residents are following it, the state is forcing Bridgewater to make a plan to build up to 1,400 units around the commuter rail station. Now, granted, that's not going to, due to zoning laws, it's not all going to happen. But this plan is going to be in place and there are going to be developments. And if this building keeps going on, it's going to make Bridgewater, it's just going to exacerbate all these crises. School sizes, water use, we're going to get used to water bans every summer. If we have water, those residents that are getting brown water now, because they had to turn on wells 10A and 10B, that are getting magnesium in their water, they're going to wish they had water, brown water, because there's not going to be any. If this kind of, and I just can't believe that, and I know I'm not attacking the planning board. I've heard good things about all of you, and your reputation is excellent, and you're only here doing your job. I'm not attacking any one of you at all. But just as a resident who had 3 children come up through the BR school system, we volunteered in the community. We've been here. This is their home. And just hearing all these crises and knowing, living these crises that are going on in town, I just can't imagine why we're entertaining these kind of projects. Thank you for hearing me.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Just like to note that this project does not tie into town water.
So thank you for your comment.
Well, it would be through the chair.
I'll fix it. I got it.
Ah.
Just address the questions to us. Thank you.
Yes, I did want to note that as a differentiating point for this project, you know, when I first toured this site, this was my professor's property, and I went with my daughters who were 6 months old at the time. And one of the things that I looked at this project as is that this is something that I want to build for them, right, for their future. And unfortunately, we know in the world that more people are coming in. There's a lot more building that has to happen. And from the developer standpoint, I've seen both sides. I've seen his side and I've also seen mine. And stepping in as a developer to create solutions that set the standard for what's to come, like creating gray wastewater systems and basically adding innovation to developments that will mitigate these crises, I think is one of the most critical things. As I think I may have mentioned to you all, gray wastewater systems, sustainability, solar, all of these things, battery energy storage systems, things that can make it less reliant on the town's infrastructure and resources is a standard that I want to set, not just for myself, but also for the future. Because I know one day my daughters will be living in something like this. And I, as a developer myself, I want to create that standard for moving forward. And also so that there's a model, right? A lot of developers have looked at my project and said, oh, I have a lot of friends in this. And they're like, this is amazing, Pam. If you can do this, this sets a new standard for development, which is great. So hopefully that can shift things, and having a development that's built with intention, built with love, and built for functionality as well as its own resources, whatever we can harness, that is something that I want to create within this project that will be a major differentiator for what's there, and hopefully will set the standard for everything moving forward. So I just wanted to address that because I've seen it. I've seen the water crises. I've been doing this for almost 12 years. And one of the things that I didn't want to do was be cookie cutter. I wanted to be different. I wanted to honor what's there. That's the reason why I kept the main house there. And I will be forever holding that property. I don't plan to sell that property. I'll be there forever, right? So more building with intention, more modeling, more creating innovation in projects like this, so more can come and not burden the system, but rather elevate it. That's really my intention as a developer. So just wanted to note that, especially specifically with the infrastructure of this project. Thank you.
Is there anybody else from the public, either online or in the audience, that would like to speak?
If you're online, please raise your virtual hand or let me know in the chat. I do not see anyone online nor anyone else in person, Mr. Chair.
So what do we, at this point, do we want to keep the public hearing open and review everything at next meeting? Do we want to close the public hearing? Is there anything we're waiting for? Does everybody want to take all this in and we can be in next meeting? Or?
I guess, Mr. Chair, the real question would be taking the temperature of the board on granting the waiver for the extra units on a dead end lot, because if we're not favorable towards that, then this whole thing is moot, right?
I mean, personally, we got a lot of good information tonight. I don't know if I'm ready to. I don't know. It's up to the board. What does the board want to do?
I'd like to, for it to go one more meeting, or at least only once. So, yeah, a lot of information.
There's a lot of information.
What,
I agree. Yeah, I'd also like to see a landscaping plan too,
landscape plan for the whole site or just for the?
just along the
along the
streets,
street?
or a little more clearer. You know, it was hard to.
Do those, because I don't think.
We only do it on
what's
one
our-
side of the
what's
road,
our
too?
Spacing required, 50 feet or 40 now?
Regarding street trees,
Yeah.
I believe it's 50. I can confirm.
So do those meet the?
It's 40 feet. Also, if you could bring your microphones closer to you
Alright, I'm
when you
sorry.
talk. Just so everyone can hear.
Yeah, we got a lot of stuff on this week, and I think it was a good presentation and good feedback. Is, you guys okay if we continue it out one more meeting and try to wrap it up then?
I guess with some clarity as to is there what if anything is needed, that's additional information for the board to decide, and going along with Michael's comment was what's critical is the configuration as we show it. So to push that out and then come back at that point and take a different direction would be very difficult unless you feel as though you're not in a position to basically provide that input at this point.
What's everybody think? Well, it's up to you.
I guess, Mr. O'Brien, is it acceptable for the board to give an indication that they're okay with like the possibility of granting a waiver for the dead end thing? So Mr. Silva has an idea of if this could work or if he has to go entirely back to the drawing board, or I just don't know the procedure.
Yeah,
that would
I
entail.
think what I could do, at least for the board, is kind of appropriately show both layouts, because fortunately, and I guess unfortunately, our roadway layouts based on units, and the difference between an 11 unit subdivision and a 10 unit subdivision does constitute changes to the roadway layout. So that's why they're asking for that waiver. I think, yeah, any indication that the board can give, this project will have to come in with individual special permits regardless. That's going to require planning board approval and review. So yeah, I would say that, that would be something that the board should at least give consideration to. But there is still opportunity if the board, for some reason through the special permitting process, could request that any decision making that could affect the layout would have to come back for a modification regardless. So yeah, I think that's something to consider, Michael, to answer your question.
I mean, anybody's free to opt this anytime. So if you want to say something, you can say something. We can consider it. We can all. It's up to you, Mr. McDonald.
I just don't want to waste Mr. Silva and the applicant's time if the board's not going to. Clearly, if we're not going to, be in favor of the waiver, then the project has to be entirely redesigned. So, I mean, I'll just publicly state I would be in favor of such a waiver. I don't know if that's of any use. I don't know if there's anyone against. I mean, if we just let them know. So,
It's John.
Go ahead.
As far as the project goes, the proponents kind of jump through hoops every time we ask them to do test pits, do septic systems, do water contact or water for privately. We've done all that. The project itself on its own looks very nice. There's a lot of green infrastructure there. I do like that. I'm really as far as a waiver for subdivision rules and regulations, I'm not necessarily in favor of these things, but that one consideration, what I just stated, It's pretty important. That will, we have way heavily in my decision. We either grant it or more favorable.
This is just a question. If, let's say we didn't grant the waiver, hypothetically, right? Technically, nothing to say that you couldn't do a single family there with an ADU, correct? Which would still essentially be 12 units, correct?
Based on our current ordinance, correct, but yeah, that would be kind of up to the applicant to design their project with a building box as well too. So yeah,
I know, but what I'm saying is, I'm just trying to say 11 versus 12.
sure.
If
This,
we
yeah,
grant the waiver, they do 12 units. If we don't grant the waiver, they essentially could still do 12 units because they could do a single family and an ADU, correct?
Yeah, they could do, and we allow for accessory dwelling units by right in this district in single family houses.
I'm not saying I want you to go that way. I'm just saying,
no,
you know.
but I think that you expressing that kind of in a way is part of the waiver justification in the sense that there's another way to get another dwelling unit in there and still get to that. But the idea is to have these be uniform, to these really be part of that community as opposed to having one that's kind of an oddball.
I'm not saying that's what I want. I'm asking the question, like if.
No, I understand.
Can we just like grant a waiver with specific conditions? Just,
We got what?
Such as what?
I mean, like, I don't know.
Bella? What did Bella do? Bella says, well,
Missy, you're hot, Mike.
Yeah, we can grant any conditions on the plan. I mean, we're gonna condition the project anyway.
Right, so can't we just do like, I don't know, like, so if we grant it, can't we just add things to it? Or is that how it is?
You could, yeah, you
In our decision letter, we're gonna have a decision letter with conditions, so. I mean, I would agree with Mr. Praddy. I think this has come a long way. I think it looks a lot better. I want to, based on the information we received tonight, the comments, your presentation, I think everything was well presented. I'm not prepared to make a decision tonight, that's all. But if everybody else is, we can do that. I mean,
I'm okay with holding off. It's just that, I just wanted to give them some indication, just,
I mean, in order
it's
to
a long
grant
process.
rights in the public good, so we just be prepared to justify it, so.
Right.
And also too, I mean, in terms of the number of units, for me, it's not about the number of units, it's about really like, well, number one, the infrastructure is extremely expensive for what I want to do here and adding that green energy and adding in all these elements. So that's a huge element of it, but also it's for pride of ownership too. I don't just want to throw up units just to have a certain number, right? It's really like, to me, it matters who's going to be in each and every single one of those. And economically, from an infrastructure standpoint, in order to get the sustainability elements that I need there, I kind of need economies of scale in order to do that with the different systems that I want to put in into these. So that's really it's important to me, like who comes in and the pride of ownership. It's much deeper than like, let's just get 12 units.
I like the idea it's gonna be one common HOA. I mean, that makes a huge difference.
And also just the way that the site is laid out, because it is a long and narrow site, that there's a lot more infrastructure cost to do these number of units than if it was a two-sided road. Because your road would be shorter, because you could get lots on each side. And so, that is a consideration here in terms of, it does cost a lot more to actually do this project. And having the number of units just kind of makes sense for this site. And I don't think it's any detriment to the town of Bridgewater. And like I say, had the subdivision next door not gone the direction it did, it might have been possible to have that right away come into the site and have a looped road, which like what the highway superintendent wanted back then. But we're not there. We're where we are now. And
Well, in the meantime, does it make sense for, I think the board will ask Mr. O'Brien to start to put some decision language together that we can consider, and then we can all provide him with things that we'd like to see in there, right? And then in the meantime, does it make sense for you to do your test pit in the next couple of weeks before we come back, and we have something from him to look at. We've all thought about it, and you know whether or not that basin needs to be modified.
Yeah, oh yeah, absolutely. Any other board
plan.
members want to weigh in on that, Steve or whatever? I mean, Steve looks like he has a deep thought there.
I think I'm fine. I don't, I know Pat's suggestion. I don't like the idea of splitting one off and building an ADU. I think you're trying to make a nice looking community.
Yeah.
And I think it just would look really nice if it was all.
More that
basically not really the
uniformity.
same, but kind of like
Right.
architecturally wise, but yeah, I mean, I agree. I mean, you have jumped through hoops and done everything we asked. I'm glad to see that you're putting wells in and not using the town resources and stuff. So it's very well thought out and done well.
And then again, you know, you're gonna have to come back for each lot, special permit.
And we have to come back right. So if you don't like the way that we're doing each one of those lots, you got a chance to weigh in on that special permit. You know what I'm saying? So you get a chance to tweak. So it says, this is just getting us to the point where we have the platform for us to be able to come back in with each lot to show you how we're doing it. And that's going to go a long way because you got to vote on each one of those.
Are your street tees going up and down both sides of the road?
We were showing it on one side. If you remember, I don't know if you were there for the site walk, massive trees on that right side. I'm talking about massive
Yeah,
trees.
there was a comment in one of the letters saying that you're gonna add some easements to protect those trees. Is that correct?
That we're going to have what?
I read Greg Tansey's stuff earlier this week, and he said that in one of the comments, he said that there are some trees you're proposing to save within lots or outside of the layout, and he wanted to see easements. Greg, do you recall where that comment was?
I do. It was for the street trees, the plantings that they're proposing. They're for the proposed trees. I just wanted those trees to be in an easement so that they could be maintained.
Okay.
Or so.
Yeah.
So it's-
The trees on the right side, they're not on the applicant's property, so they really can't legally.
Yeah, some are, some aren't, Greg. And some of them have grown to be splitting the property line.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
No, yeah.
All right, so we do want to continue this. When's our first meeting? The 7th?
January 7th, 2026.
And in the meantime, you'll work on some things for us to consider.
Yeah, I can provide some draft decision language as well as considerations as part of the waivers as part of it too.
Update these street trees so they comply to 40 feet.
Right.
Then
And we'll give you the results of the
testing.
test bit or whether or not we need it.
All right, so I gotta do a roll call, right?
Do you have to do anything with that retaining wall in the front? Or is this a private way?
Oh, that's another thing, right?
I think that could go in his letter. I think he said he's gonna slide it back to be out of the roadway.
That retaining wall or ask for a waiver, or what are we doing there?
We'll slide it back. We'll move it out, okay?
All right, so do we have a motion to continue this to January 7th?
So move.
So by who? Mr. Praddy?
Sure.
Second by Mr. Geller?
Yep.
We're gonna have to take the roll. Okay, Jay, do you mind? Chris, do you mind voting?
Yes.
Just, I guess,
McDonald,
Yes.
Mr. Praddy,
Yes.
Mr. Geller?
Yes.
No, yes.
Okay.
All right,
Thank
so
you.
let's continue to the 7th. Thank you very
Okay.
much.
Thank you very much.
Let's go through this. All right, item 3, This is a determination of a minor major modification request, Old Stable Estates Drainage Basin subdivision approved September 6, 2023. Mr. Silva?
Good evening. So if just for the board's recollection, we submitted an as-built plan, preliminary as-built plan, and then there was a letter from the town engineer in response to it, in which he made some comments as it related to how the difference between the proposed plan and how it would possibly affect the drainage that was shown in the original design. In response to that, we made proposed changes that would basically provide for the same volume of storage that is needed in order to meet the same level of protection on the drainage point of view. So in essence, our original design, if you think about a 12-ounce glass, you can have 12-ounce glasses that are this high, and then you can have other ones that are shorter. And so in this particular case, our original design was for the taller, skinnier, say 12-ounce glass. And in this case here with the modification, what we've done is we went for the lower profile, but what we did was we spread it out to get more capacity in order to get the same level of protection for each of the storm events. And so that's what we propose for the modification.
So Shane, what your goal tonight is to determine whether this is major or minor, right?
I would say that what is before the board right now. So the options that we typically have are determination if it's a minor modification or a major modification based on the what the board thinks. There's also another option that we've looked at in other meetings in terms of within our subdivision rules and regulations discussing minor changes. Just from a standpoint of just procedure, that minor change in the subdivision rules and regulations, I don't believe has a fee associated with it. We do have a fee associated with minor modifications, and whereas a major modification too would require a notice in the newspaper as well as notice to abutters as part of that. But
So I'm just on this plan, what's the modification? Just the drainage?
Yeah, it's just basically the grading and demarcation of a larger drainage easement area. Okay, that would be of record. But basically what it's doing is it's just allowing for grade changes that allow to get the same volume that we had in the original design. And it doesn't affect neighbors. It doesn't affect really the design and intent of the original subdivision. It's just that, like I say, this is the short glass as opposed to the tall glass approach to it.
When are you going to come back for the road height?
What do you mean come back for the road height?
It says right here, it says the center line of the road is off by like 15 inches.
Okay.
Is that going to be a modification or no?
What I'm suggesting to you is that if the construction change is that it's a lower profile, but we still achieve the same level of drainage design and protection, then I think that it could be actually handled in terms of how in an as-built as to how it in the final as-built to show that those were incorporated and that the increased drainage easement area is shown on those plans and recorded at the registry as a larger drainage easement area.
I mean, so I asked Shane, and so it says a minor change is defined as a change which has no discernible impact outside the subdivision, does not increase rates of volume of stormwater runoff, does not increase the amount of cut or fill, does not involve the regrading of 200 linear feet of roadway, and does not involve regrading of more than 2 lots of the subdivision. So is that, would the drainage comply with that?
regarding our subdivision changes, if there's a change in the profile, then it becomes a question of, is there a additional request for a waiver outside the current profile that the
Well,
board is
I just-
permitted?
Greg's letter says it's like 210 feet.
Well, based on what you're saying, you said 200 feet?
Well, our rule says it has to be. I'm fine with the changes. I just want to follow the right process if they meet. So it says minor changes may be allowed by vote at any time after the public hearing with the required notations on cover sheet. If a minor change is defined by the board as a change which has no discernible impact outside the subdivision, does not increase rates of volume of stormwater runoff, and does not increase the amount of cut and fill required. It does not involve regrading of more than 200 linear feet of roadway, and does not involve regrading of more than 2 lots within the subdivision. So I just, I know one of the lots is sold in there now, and there's a butters. If we need to notice this, I think we need to notice it.
Right there, you just read out. You check each one, we can go through it each one.
But the road was regraded for 210 feet or more.
So you're looking at, it has to start on the. Let me just-
Rebecca, could you come up to the
Come here, come here.
microphone?
I just want to make sure we follow the right process. Regrading from the existing plan, right? From the approved plan.
Let's see.
So I'm asking you, is it a minor or a major?
Well, I mean, I think it's minor. I mean, I think that with regards to the first house, that is the only road that they've ever seen is the road that is the adjusted elevation of the profile.
But
Their
what,
driveway blends into that road.
but was more than 200 feet of the road regraded?
200 feet of the road. I mean, the road or of adjacent areas. I mean, because you get into the road. I don't understand what 200 feet of the road means.
This is why I'm confused. It says that there's basically 1.3 feet off for 210 feet.
I would say on the fringes of that, you're talking an inch or two on the fringe. If you,
Your profile shows the whole road graded down over a foot. I'm open to the changes. If it needs to be advertised, we need to advertise it. Do you want to look? Yeah, this is,
I'm looking at the profile right there.
so we've never been in the situation where the road is a foot lower than proposed. But it says, does not increase the amount of cut or fill required, does not involve regrading of more than 200 linear feet of roadway.
And we, not to get into semantics, but we do define roadway as that portion of a way which is designed and constructed for vehicular travel.
Right.
No.
So I'm just,
I think that when you say the 200 feet, I mean, but it's also conditional to the other elements that you talk about where it affects the drainage and not meeting the requirements for the drainage. But we're showing alternatively that you do meet the requirements for the drainage.
No.
Not in the sense of what.
I just don't want
It's
to put us in
minor
a position
change.
where the house is sold on there, and then they say they weren't notified of the change, because that happens. So should we notify it, or notice it or not? And a major would be a notice. Minor would not. I mean, that's the one,
A minor modification is essentially what we're doing right now. It's in a open forum, not necessarily a public hearing, but a public meeting where we discuss the changes. A major requires renotice, a hearing, public comment permitted.
And if the only waiver you have before us is the drainage, we can address that, but if the road profile has to be addressed, why don't we just combine them and do all at once?
Why don't we just what?
Why wouldn't we just do it in one meeting? Why are we having two separate requests?
I don't,
Just to expedite it, the road profile is down 1.5 foot, 15 inches. The drainage needs to be redone. That's two modifications. Why is there only one submitted?
I don't think that they're independent modifications. One is the result of the other. I mean, they're really part of the same. It's really the fact that it was lower meant that the drainage had to be handled in a slightly different way. But the fact that it is able to be handled and still meet all the requirements is the difference. If it was lowered and you couldn't meet those requirements and you're asking for it not to have to come up to those standards in terms of the drainage, then I'd say, yeah, now you're looking at something that is really a substantial change at that point. What we're really talking about is another way. You can't say skin the cat anymore, right? You can't say that no more.
So does this increase rates or volume of stormwater runoff? The answer would be no, right?
Yeah, so we actually meet the
That would
requirements.
be no, right?
Yeah,
Does not increase the amount of cut or fill required.
cut and fill required.
I would say probably no.
It's probably no.
Does not involve the regrading of more than 200 linear feet of roadway.
Okay, well, regrading of 200 feet of road.
It was proposed that, I mean, if all these are no, then it could be a mine, but I just looked at that and I said, the whole road is 15 inches lower.
Can you zoom into the profile, Rebecca?
And it says, does it give a degree to the 200 feet?
No, it says does not involve regrading of more than 200 feet.
So what you're saying to me is, but what you're saying though, or what that's saying is that any road profile that comes in is different than the proposed road profile for 200 feet requires a modification. I'm going to tell you right now, and you've got many subdivisions out there that had that happen.
I mean, I think if you're with an inch or, I mean, I don't know what the industry standard is, but 15 inches is not.
I really only suggest to you that the end result is that the one thing that's affected by the change in the elevation is the drainage. And that has been mitigated by changing how much volume to get the same amount of volume by using more area to do that. So I don't know what the intent was when they said 200 feet. Were they saying 200 feet, which had impacts or not?
And I just want to make sure it doesn't come back to us.
I understand that.
If Greg Tansey looked at it, I want to make sure that it just doesn't come back to us, that's all.
I believe it specified 200 linear feet, Pat. Is that correct?
Correct. Well, no.
Is that road entirely straight?
Linear
I mean,
feet.
I know it's mostly straight, but
I mean, it's up to the board. If we want to call it a minor, we have to call it a minor. If we want a major, it's a major.
Well, the road is in, right?
It's in, yeah.
But he's not adjusting any portion on the road for this. He's adjusting the drainage.
It was adjusted already.
The
Adjusted from improved.
Yeah, it wasn't built to what was approved by the board, therefore asking for the change.
Right.
So the other option that's out there is that the roadway's built to what we approved as well. But they're coming in with this request and trying to, based on the current layout and profile, build it to a standard where it's functions as if it were built to the standard.
We recently had a neighbor, I mean, Oldfield, we had neighbors come in and say that they weren't notified of modifications. You know, they came back to bite us, you know, so.
Right, but these are our standards and our regulations. I understand what you're saying.
This will always be a private road,
Yes.
and the drainage rectifies the issue of the road. So it's just a matter of whether you have to notify. So that the two lots that are remaining aren't built, correct?
Right.
Yeah, we're still holding those lots, and a surety still has to be set.
And the drainage doesn't affect the building of those two lots, right? The road,
No.
Shouldn't
right?
know.
And proposed heights of those houses.
So why wasn't it designed this way? Because it's probably better.
Well, it's a different, like I say, it's the approach to whether or not you're using the tall glass or short glass. In our design, we took the approach in designing it to minimize the area that would have to be set aside for the drainage part of it by getting that volume as part of being a little bit higher profile. Going to the lower profile, you can still get the same volume of storage that you need in order to make things work, but it occupies a little bit more spatial area on the lot itself. It's just, I'm not saying, I mean, every engineer comes in and some design things one way and some design them another way, and that's the profile that we would normally use when we're doing it.
I guess a follow-up question then would be, why didn't you come before the board when you changed it in the first place, as you were setting it out?
It wasn't an initiative by us. It was identified when we did the preliminary as-built survey.
Gotcha.
Yeah, the preliminary as-built plan that was provided to staff. It's made clear in the preliminary as-built plan that it's not like it's any secret. You can see the roadway profile that it shows the differences from what was approved and what is built. But yeah, it was picked up by Greg as part of a request for surety. Whereas, Greg can speak to this too, where he didn't feel comfortable or it was appropriate without some sort of modification or request before the board prior to that surety request kind of, moving forward.
So was it just like a miscommunication with the people building the road or something like that?
And
Probably.
a minor modification, and I'm not gonna hop on it, whatever we decide, but a minor modification would require design review. So a minor modification wouldn't go to engineering. So if you look at our rules and regs, like a minor modification is a fee plus a design review fee. And that's an internal thing we have to work on. Like that was a mistake the way it was handled. But a minor modification is just dealt with the board. A major modification goes to Greg Tansey. So that's why we wanted it to count as major from day one, right?
Well, I would say that it could have been the same way. I mean, if somebody came in with a minor request to you and you said, well, we think we're okay with it, but we want the town engineer to review it. This just happened, the review happened before it came to you that way.
Yeah.
It came kind of backwards.
Well, I mean, a minor comes to us and we determine.
Right, and then you determine, but you might still be asking Tansey
We determine it's
for
major,
it.
we send it for design review, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, procedurally, we can correct that just moving forward. That's not an issue.
I mean, that's why I was looking at, like, the road profile changes over 200 feet. We sent it for design review and we're not gonna notify people. Like, that's it's up to the board, though.
I mean, I'm torn here because,
Excuse me.
sorry, go ahead.
Good evening. I'm Bob Iafredi. I'm the developer. I thought we were just coming in to request a minor modification of the drainage system. We modified the drainage system. That whole original drainage system included the elevation of the road. During the course of construction, as you know, things change. It gets changed a little bit here. So my thought coming in tonight was that we were asking for a modification of the drainage system that includes the roadway, because the original drainage system included the roadway, which is at a higher elevation. Our new drainage system, which is what we're asking for a modification, does not include any regrading of the existing roadway. It only includes making the basin on the right-hand side wider. So that was my intent in coming here. If we had asked for more than one modification, we would have done that. But if you've been out to the site, the drainage works well, other than the fact that Mr. Tansey identified that the 100-year storm crosses part of the road at one spot. And then Rebecca and Larry came up with the idea of extending the basin and making it bigger on the right-hand side, which does not include the house lot that got sold. It wouldn't include any work on that side of the property at all. So if you had a chance to go out there, this roadway, the layout is all built to the plan. It's only the drainage system that needed to be enlarged because of the 100-year storm event. Everything else works great. The elevation and the pitch of the roadway that was lowered by the road has no effect on any water leaving, from what I understand, any water leaving the site onto North Street. So that's in place. So it was my intention just to ask for a minor modification to try to move the project forward.
Shane, am I misunderstanding that they only need one modification, not two?
Well, I would say that based on kind of past practice of the board and based on, we talk about Edge Hill Road, I think that what we're looking at in terms of a plan set, I know the request letter states the drainage basin too, but, I think we need to be cognizant of the plans before us as well too. So I think it's difficult for us to just ignore the roadway profile. I think that it's appropriate that we at least acknowledge it, as well as if it, especially based on the communications of this meeting, if one is connected to the other, I think we should at least consider it. We could still tie them together as one minor modification. It's just a matter of if we approve the drainage basin as presented or consider it a major modification, we're going to have to discuss the roadway profile anyways, which we're already discussing. So I guess in that semblance of this, would we also consider that a minor modification just as part of this, just to cover our bases?
So that's why I go back to, Pat, what you read about touching the road for 210 feet.
Steve, we
Right.
can't.
But to correct this, what they're asking for, they're not touching the road, even though it's at the wrong elevation, but they are touching the drainage portion.
Correct.
That they're touching the drainage. It's just, the roadway is built.
But we're not modifying what's there. We're modifying what was approved.
Correct.
So that's how you have to look.
Correct, yeah. They regraded from what the plan stated, not from what's existing.
And if it's not 210, I mean, I just want to make sure we do it the right way with if it needs to be noticed or not.
Mr. Chairman, if I could ask you a question, what is a major modification would require us to identify the abutters
Correct.
and have a public hearing?
Correct. That's the only difference.
That's your concern?
Yeah. I mean, we've had a couple issues where people weren't noticed, and they come back and say, we didn't know about this. You guys may know, they were minor in nature. They'd come back. So, I mean, I don't think we need to, it's already been reviewed. I don't think we need to charge a design review fee.
No, I would say in the sense of this determination by the board, if we choose to consider it a minor change based on our subdivision rules and regulations, there's not a fee associated with it. For a minor modification, there's a $300.
I don't know what you're talking. It's, if you look at our rules and regs.
Yeah, minor.
300 for minor, 750 for major.
Sure. I would just say that in what we're referencing within the subdivision rules and regulations, and you and I may interpret it different, it talks about minor changes, not necessarily minor modification per se. So,
But in order to change this, we need to do a minor modification or a major.
sure.
Can you expand upon that, the minor changes thing more, Mr. O'Brien, and why you think it might fall under that?
The way that it's section 3, plan revisions, minor changes, and incomplete submissions, which is in our subdivision rules and regulations. And it talks about minor changes may be allowed by the vote of the board anytime after the public hearing, and again with the required notations on the cover sheet. And that is talking about what Pat said. The minor changes is defined by any change, yada yada yada, that does not involve regarding regrading more than 200 linear feet. And then the board can determine, in its opinion, if the plan revisions are minor changes or constitute major changes requiring refiling, rehearing. So based on that information, the way that I interpret it, and like I said, the board can interpret it differently, is that if someone looks to modify something or ask for minor changes based on the subdivision rules and regulations, it doesn't really talk about a fee. However, if someone's looking for a minor modification, based on this as well too, it would constitute.
Minor modification or a major.
All right.
I mean, that's what it is.
Okay.
Yeah, sure. Mrs. Silva, as a layman, the road was built. to this standard, to 15 inches lower than.
Correct.
Approved. The engineering, Mr. Tanzi, is such that the drainage works perfectly as it did on the original plan, as it does now. Is that correct?
With the changes.
Modified.
No, I know. Because
It
modified-
will with the grading change.
And then it will function exactly as before. Is that correct?
That's correct. Oh, I'm sorry. Greg, I think he's asking you.
Yes, that is correct.
Okay, so really the only change is that modification of, or that change of regrading over 200 feet. So that extra 10 feet throws it into a major modification.
And I don't know. That's why I'm asking the question.
But so here's my question is they're not regrading the road, they're just regrading the drainage.
They already
The drainage.
regraded the road.
They already regraded the road from the as plans.
But it wasn't noticed until we went out and inspected it, right?
Right, but when you modify something, you're modifying it from what was approved,
No, I understand.
not what's there to, you know.
Where, I know where you are, Pat, where this is only a 3-lot subdivision. It's not gonna affect
It's
a
fine.
lot of people.
Yeah. I just want to make sure because in the past we haven't noticed
I understand.
and it becomes a problem.
So could you group the two, the road and the drainage into a minor?
Yeah, you could.
I gotta
And-
side with Mr. Driscoll on this one. Either we follow our rules or we don't. If the rules say 200 feet and it's 210 feet, then it's a
I
major.
just felt in the past, we've had people come in and say, we weren't notified, and it becomes a problem. And where there's one house sold there, I don't know if they've been notified or not. I don't know if they know the changes. I don't know.
I think the change is very minor in nature, but if our rules say 200 and it's 210, then unfortunately it's a major, in my opinion.
Well, then if it's minor in nature, let's do a minor. As long as the board's on board, because I don't wanna,
Yeah.
if we need to
Point
know,
taken. Point taken. I completely understand. I completely understand.
we've had people come back with, we've had we've had CBUs moved and they weren't notified and it becomes a problem. So this is drainage that's being changed and a road profile that's being changed.
But where it's private, it really isn't gonna come back to us, correct?
It can,
Well,
I think.
I mean, if a neighbor is adversely impacted because the drainage doesn't work and they didn't get a chance to speak at a public hearing, I don't know. But if Mr. Tanzi said it's all set, I looked at this and I says, it major or minor? And we have to determine that.
I don't see how we can ignore. There was a number set. If their number is over that number, I think we have to go with the number that was, set in what's written down.
And I said, the other point of a major is that it trips design review and that process was not followed properly in town. Like it should have come to us. It's already been reviewed and already signed off on. So we're not going to send it to design review again, I don't think, right?
No, I don't see a need for that.
And if it did go to abutters, there's really no list, right? Who's the abutters? One?
It would be based on 300. It's based on the 300-foot. It would be similar to a refiling of a subdivision. It would go
Right.
through the same.
I don't even know if there's anyone
The
within.
left side is the access to the school.
I'm fine with it. I'm more upset with like the process, like how we handle it internally. Like we need, like this should, we should determine what's major or minor first, then it goes out to staff. I mean, it came to us with 2 letters. And I'm not giving you a hard time, Greg, but a review already done. It says in the rules and rights, like minor and major changes come to us first.
Sure. We also hope that subdivisions are built to what was approved as well, too.
Whatever you guys want to do.
I mean, I see nothing really wrong with it. I honestly think it's a minor modification. The road's already in.
Personally, I'm okay with the changes.
Yeah. But you're going off the,
I just want to
The
make sure,
rules.
should we notice it or should we not notice it?
I think we have to follow our own rules. I agree it's minor in nature too, but I think we have to follow, what's written down. If we,
But
if we don't follow our own rules,
sometimes you do have a worker change. Like when, and things just happen.
no, I agree completely. It's just do we have
Point.
the authority to do that?
You know, I don't think that it's gonna really bother the neighbors. I don't think it has any impact on the neighbors. I think that like Tansley said, the plan's gonna work. I think it's just a minor.
I
think
completely agree with you.
we went to a
Other
mi-
than the aspect that,
Maybe the approval process going forward, we will just, what, maybe it went a little backwards this time and we would have
And
did
I
it
also,
differently,
if
but.
we're gonna do minor, we gotta time together to get it done now.
So I would say we tie them together and go for a minor is my opinion.
I agree with that.
All right, but
I agree with what Mr. Costa was saying about, it's not going to bother anybody. It's a fine change, but
No, I would
the
say
regs
right.
don't say what I think. It says what it is.
I would say
You know?
right now, what we have on the agenda is a determination if it's a minor or major. So if at that point too, I guess we would need an application, a fee to be paid for it. But just a comment on what we're discussing too, in terms of the importance of the people living there. And if we're looking to go down the route of a minor modification rather than a major modification, I still think it's imperative that whatever plan that's provided before this board that's being modified be recorded at the Registry of Deeds.
Right.
So.
If the only change between minor and major is they have to notify abutters, then I don't see the issue doing a major.
Well,
That's how I agree.
yeah, it's timing, I guess, too. But yeah,
I'm good with it.
I'm good with it too.
I would say though, I would agree though, like I wouldn't, in the future, I don't think we can't just be going out and reviewing prior.
why are we even here,
Yeah.
right? We're supposed to determine a major and minor, then send it out. All right. So how are we gonna, we'll just deem it minor and you'll handle the application after? I mean, I don't wanna wait. If it's minor, it's minor.
yeah. If the determination it's minor, I guess for the next meeting, we would need to receive an application, the fee, and then it would be before this board again too for a vote.
We can't just handle it now.
No, typically we have 2 votes to have.
No, we can't just handle this.
If you
whole
would,
thing.
if you'd like to condition it based on that, yeah, we can do that. I just,
It's not something-
There's no sense doing it twice. I think
My whole thing was if we need to notice it, so let's get it noticed.
sure. Yeah, that's the determination tonight would mean that how we would proceed moving forward. Because if it would need to be noticed, then we're looking at noticing in the newspaper for Friday and then having it at a meeting, either probably second meeting in January if it has to be noticed.
let's move around.
I just don't get how we're going to square the circle of ignoring our own regulation to deem it a minor. I think it is a minor, like truly in nature. It's just I think we have to follow the rules that the town has set before us.
Well, I think this is the learning on how like process has to go going forward. right?
I agree.
So, just how we have to handle stuff internally. So, all right, what do you guys want to do? We want to make a motion?
Motion to minor, with the road and the drainage together.
Well, we get a motion to declare if it's a major or minor first, and then
Minor modification, KJ?
Just-
Do
Accept it as a minor
we
modification.
have a second?
Second.
Mr. Praddy? For discussion? Like, I'm fine with the changes. I think the changes are fine. They work. I just want to make sure the drainage works.
No, it just,
I just think going forward,
Just Larry
stuff
told us the
shouldn't
drainage
go,
work.
stuff shouldn't go directly to the town engineer. It should go to you and to us. We make.
that's fine. That's
And then it goes to the town engineer because that's the whole process, right?
yeah, no, that's no problem. Is it?
2 letters in front of us and stuff already went to Greg Tansey and it just needs to.
Yeah, you don't want to be strong armed to be like, well, Greg said it's fine and they get that and then you guys get it and you guys haven't made your determination. Sure.
Yeah, I get
Just as a point of clarification, Pat,
Right.
too, with 2 associates, Chris is
He's voting.
voting on it and Eric's just an alternate. Okay.
So motion by Mr. Fabrowski, second by Mr. Praddy. Any discussion? Oh, wait a minute, discussion. We want to condition it. You're gonna submit a Mylar?
However you want to do it, we could do it in the final as-built as a Mylar and show that it was an as-built and modification and show it, and that would be the record plan at the end of the project. It's up to you, however way you want to do
When
it.
you assign recorded, what do you want? You want the modification recorded?
I would prefer it to be, prefer at least a modification because honestly, we don't get a lot of as-built plans recorded. I prefer that, especially too, if you're looking at an as-built, that's assuming that those two other lots have been sold. So if at least there's some sort of presumption with a modification plan that's recorded sooner than later, if someone's interested in those two lots, this modification plan is on record for them to view.
So we'll ask for a modification plan to be endorsed by the board, right?
Yes.
And filed with the Plymouth County Registry of Deed, right?
Yes.
And you're gonna settle up with them on the minor modification paperwork that we should have requested.
Yeah, we can condition it based on receipt of application and check.
All right. So you comfortable with those conditions?
Yeah, so do you?
Wouldn't we condition the actual approval of the modification instead of the determination of if it's a minor or major? Just want to make sure we're doing it right.
Yeah, it's 2 votes, correct? We're discussing the determination if it's a minor modification and a major modification, and then we approve well, if it's a major, then we're not approving. If it's a minor, we can.
All right, so do we have
another
a
vote.
motion by Mr. Fabrowski, a second by Mr. Praddy for a minor modification? Any more discussion? So we'll take the roll. Mr. Fabrowski,
Yes.
Mr. Praddy,
Yes.
Mr. McDonald,
No.
Mr. Geller,
Yes.
and I'm a yes. All right. So we have the plan before us. So we have a modification, minor modification for a road profile and for a drainage modification. Right?
I believe so, yes.
Yeah.
Do we have a motion on that? Motion to accept?
Motion to approve.
Was that
Motion to approve.
by Mr. McDonald? Second by Mr. Praddy?
Yes.
And then do we want to talk about the conditions that we want a modification plan? We want the modification plan filed, right? And endorsed by the planning board, correct? Okay,
Yes. Or if you're the sole signatory, so if you want to endorse it on behalf of the board.
and we need the application.
Application fee and a Mylar
So the
to be
application,
recorded.
The fee and the Mylar. All right, so do we have a motion? We're all set. Any discussion? Mr. Geller,
Yes.
Praddy,
Yes.
Mr. Fabrowski,
Yes.
Mr. McDonald,
Yes.
and I'm a yes. Good. All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. I have one question. Do you want us to submit an application and we're done? So it's application after the fact? Or
Yeah, we're
are
done.
you going to bring it back to the board for
We're done.
another meeting?
We're done.
You're done. Thank you for your consideration.
And
We
I
appreciate
mean,
it.
and I'm not trying to give everybody a hard time, but
Please do.
we have to have this come first and then. it
Yeah,
comes to
we can.
Chansey.
This is something that we can correct and bring forward.
There's two letters. I'm looking at one modification.
Right.
you know.
Yeah, no problem.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
All right, item 4, street acceptance requests. So is Attorney Castaneda here?
Yes, he's here. He's remote.
So we have,
I'm here.
so I actually hopped on a quick call with Mr. Brian today. So Attorney Castaneda, it appears that you're making progress with the conveyance of the parcel to the town, correct?
It appears to be.
So, Mr. O'Brien, I talked to Mr. O'Brien and the town manager, Mr. Casanova Davis, earlier today. They said they feel comfortable if we want to accept the road, if we want to make a recommendation to accept the road, we just condition it that the council not act on it until the Jenny Leonard assemblage is worked out.
Yeah, so
So we can move it on from this committee, and he said he'll handle it at that level.
yeah, so us being a non-binding recommendation to town council, we can place conditions and language as part of these recommendations. So part of the consideration too, after discussions with town manager and Mr. Castanetti regarding transfer of land potentially, just talking about potentially squaring off that drainage basin through a plan, either squaring it off, allowing for the HOA to maintain that particular basin, whereas the town would maintain the rest of the basins based on the street acceptance, because through street acceptances, we would typically accept all roadways and drainage structures and then incorporate essentially a drainage fee, which this board typically recommends to council as well too, for stormwater maintenance purposes.
Mr. Tanzi, you don't have any issue with this, correct?
That's correct.
So the last letter that we get from you showing that everything was all set is still your opinion?
Yes, that is correct.
So in talking to the town manager, Mr. David, Casanova Davis today, we should, if we decide to recommend this to the council, we recommend it with a condition that the council not act on it until the Jenny Leonard Park assemblage is worked out in some form, correct?
Yeah, if that's appropriate for this one, that's fine. If the board wants to add that to provide to council.
And the one thing that got added since the last time we talked, Mr. Tanzi's Calthrop extension, that was not on with the other three, but you're still okay with that, is that correct?
Yes.
Yeah, I think one of Greg's initial reviews, one of the other prior street acceptances did mention Calthrop in terms of Calthrop drive extension. That was just kind of missed early on by Mr. Castanetti, and I think that was noted in the narrative as well too. But if we're looking to do requests or I guess endorsements, I guess we could all group them together. I think that's fine if we want to do so, rather than have separate votes for separate streets, unless the board feels one of the streets aren't appropriate.
We can just say in the motion, Timberlane, Oakfield Road, Urbeck, and Calthrop, correct?
Yes.
Well, excuse me if I could interject. Calthrop is for Bridgewater Preserve, and it really has nothing to do with Oldfield Estates and that open space parcel 2. I did not. I overlooked filing the request for Calthrop when I was filing for the other streets in Bridgewater Preserve, but that road should have nothing to do with the condition pertaining to Oldfield Estates.
So I guess in that sense, Mr. Chair, I guess we can group order FY 2615 through 17 with the condition that we're looking at for Jenny Leonard Park and the other language regarding the drainage basin, whereas FY 2634 for Calthrop Drive extension, we would have a separate vote for that, and those would be separate letters to be forwarded to council.
So do we have a motion to either accept or recommend acceptance or not acceptance of Timberlane, Oldfield, and Urbeck with the condition of the Jenny Leonard Park being resolved before the council acts?
Move to accept with the underlying conditions.
A motion by Mr. McDonald to recommend acceptance with that condition. Do we have a second?
Second.
And Mr. Geller? Any discussion? Mr. Geller?
Yes.
Mr. Praddy?
Yes.
Mr. Fabrowski?
Yes.
Mr. McDonald?
Yes.
Yes. So then we don't need a condition on order FY 26-034, Calthrop Drive extension. Do we have a motion to recommend or not recommend the acceptance?
Motion to recommend.
And Mr.
Second.
Geller? Mr. Praddy?
Second.
Do we have any discussion? All right. Mr. McDonald?
Yes.
Mr. Fabrowski?
Yes.
Mr. Praddy?
Yes.
Mr. Geller?
Yes.
I'm a yes. Great. All
Ju-
right, thank you.
And just, I guess, a point of order, Mr. Chair, regarding the reviews of these roadways as well too, and maybe this is a question for Greg. Greg, your comment letters to the planning board, have you forwarded them over to Deb yet in terms of comments, or is that something I can include as an attachment as part of these recommendations?
I think you can include it as an attachment. I didn't send it to her.
All right, I'll include those as part of that as information to council.
All right. All right, item 5, 0 Corporate Drive, also known as 0 Pleasant Street, map 83, lot 25, Claremont Bridgewater Hotel 2 LLC. A site plan review special permit request for extension. This is January, continued.
Pat, this is the landscaping plan.
Oh,
The extension's
sorry.
6.
So this is 0 Corporate Drive, 0 Pleasant Street, map 83, lot 25, Claremont Bridgewater Hotel 2 LLC. Landscaping plan update as per site plan conditions of approval. It's a planning board decision dated January 3rd, 2024. So.
I think we have Attorney Brennan here, as well as I believe
Go ahead, Attorney Brown.
Tom here.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. My name is Ed Brennan. I'm an attorney with an office at 174 Dean Street in Taunton, representing the petitioner. You may recall we were before the board probably in late August. Initially, we presented a landscaping plan in response to the condition in the site plan approval regarding an 80-foot landscape buffer strip between 104 and the building, the proposed hotel. That plan generated some comments from the board. We revised it to address those comments and resubmitted couple of weeks ago. The submission came on the same day as your hearing. So the board asked that this be kicked over from December 3rd until today, so that you would have an opportunity to review what it is we submitted on the December 3rd for the December 3rd meeting. There was discussion on December 3rd and the board had additional comments. So in response to that, we revised the plan and submitted last week to make sure that we had used all species that were native to the Plymouth County. So we have complied with that condition. Generally speaking, we've added low-lying shrubs that the board had requested along.
Do you have the ability to show that updated plan to the public?
Yes, Tom Miner is here with me from Hawk Design, and Tom is the landscape architect that did this work, and he has the technical ability to share his screen. So Tom, if you could do that?
Yeah. Can I share?
Yeah, you can.
I'll blow it up a little bit for you.
Okay, thank you.
Oh. I'm going to switch over to a different drawing. This doesn't show the existing trees in the buffer. I'm sorry. There we go.
So I'll let Tom take over and talk about the species and how they were laid out. But essentially, this is the plan that we're submitting to comply with the condition on the approval. And there's also a cutaway was submitted that shows the parking lot elevation. There's a berm on the north side of the parking lot, between the parking lot and Route 104. And some of these plantings are on the berm, and it accomplishes a pretty much, a visual buffer between the parking lot and 104 and any abutting neighbors. And the headlights, that was one of the concerns that the board had. That's been addressed through the plantings and the berm. So that was something we wanted to point out. And that was also submitted, so the board members should have had an opportunity to look at that over the last week. So with that, I would like to have Mr. Minor address the plant species and how they're laid out and why they're laid out the way they are.
Thank you, Ed. Good evening, board members. This is Tom Minor, Hawk Design Landscape Architect. This is a revised entire site landscape plan showing all the site trees that we are proposing. As you can see in this area here, these are the 24 trees in good condition that we're saving within the buffer. These smaller, I believe it's 13 circles here. These were originally white spruce, which is a native Massachusetts evergreen, but there was a request to make them all native to the Plymouth County. So I've substituted eastern red cedar for those white spruce. And between these spruce, I originally had rhododendrons. I have since substituted those out with native inkberry. It's a naturalizing evergreen shrub that'll spread through underground roots. So this will be a more natural buffer that you've requested. And going back to the section here, this is an approximation of some of the trees that would be saved, the approximate height and distance up to the canopy from the existing berm. This is the existing berm here. It's been cut down to create the parking and a platform for the hotel. At the top of the berm, at the high point, we're planting the junipers at 8 to 10 feet tall, and between those, we've got 3 to 3.5 foot inkberries. Both plants are native to Plymouth County. Both are very naturalistic and fairly fast growing. So and full to the ground. So they should be a good screen from Route 104 to the hotel. And that's if you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer.
So, Mr. Minor, most of that underbrush that's there is staying, correct? It's not, no underbrush is really being removed. So what you show there is underbrush remaining?
Well, there's some invasive material in there mixed in with that. So by the time the trees are removed and the stumps are removed, there will be
Some, but it's
damaged. Yeah, they'll be understory removed, but it'll be quickly replenished as you know when there's clearing in woods. But again, this berm is 6 feet high, 5 to 6 feet high. So that's you know, that's the height of a good sized vehicle. So traffic on 104 will not be seeing vehicles in these first parking spaces along the road.
And this complies with the superseding order, item 8 that talks about the plantings complying with the vascular plants in Massachusetts, the county checklist, first revision.
Yeah, I referenced the Massachusetts County checklist for Plymouth County.
Mr. Driscoll, it's on paragraph 4 of Hawk Design's letter. He makes a reference to what you're talking about there.
the rest of the site has not, can you pull that plan back up?
I can't find it. What was
The rest of the plan has not been updated to meet this requirement. We're just focusing on the buffer right now.
The only issue before the board tonight is the landscaping within the 80 feet.
But
That's
the-
it.
but-
The rest of the site plan has been approved and we're not proposing any changes there. We're just trying to check the box on that
Even
one.
to the planting schedule, I mean, that's later on. The planting schedule will be amended later on for the rest of the site plan?
Yes.
It doesn't meet the requirements?
Right. Mr. Brian O'Brien has asked if at some point in time we can put one plan together showing the landscaping so he can check through it. But that would come, afterwards when we're ready to go out in the field. But right now, the landscaping plan that you're approving tonight would have to be incorporated in and made part of the final site plan.
And then with this, and we can talk about it in the extension request, any of the MIPA requirements of these plans we'd want updated prior to, any construction.
Yeah, I think my reading of the MIPA and the superseding order is that we don't have any changes that have to be made to this plan, submitted to the board for modifications. If that differs at all as it goes through the building permit process, if any of the department heads come up with something that looks different to them, then we would have to come before the board and seek a minor or major modification, whatever it might be, but I actually don't anticipate that.
All right, so we have the landscape plan before us. So are there any public comments on the landscape plan itself? If you want to come up and speak.
Good evening. I do have a handout. May I distribute to you? Okay,
Sure thing.
thank you. I'll talk on.
If you don't mind giving one to the applicant as well.
Oh, sure.
If I have to share one, I can share one.
Oh, that's okay. I have plenty. Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, Melissa Raymondetta, Lakeside Drive in Bridgewater.
Just for clarification.
Yeah.
Mrs. Ramadetta, does this reference the entire landscape plan or just what we're looking at now? Does this just reference the buffer strip that we're talking about?
This is referring to the buffer strip,
Okay.
yes. Maybe the landscape architect could just clarify that with regard to the Cornus Florida, there are two varieties mentioned, Cherokee Brave Dogwood and Cherokee Princess. I did not see them in the 2011 reference. Perhaps he could comment on that.
Those are cultivars of native dogwoods, but they are not in the 80-foot buffer.
Okay. All right, thank you. I also wanted to mention that what hasn't really been talked about is what trees are being removed and how many trees are being removed. That doesn't seem to be indicated on the plans. And the planning board had emphasized preservation of existing trees, so the extent of tree cutting should be quantified. Also wanted to mention that
So just
Yeah.
ask a question to Mr. Minor. What's being removed is really only what's necessary to be removed. Is that correct?
I have a summary of,
Which we saw.
yeah, we've removed, this is based on the survey by Bartlett tree specialists and their arborists. Of the total number of trees surveyed that were over 6-inch caliper, 6 inches or greater as required. We removed the dead, fair, poor, and invasive, and only kept the good trees, which were a total of 39, plus minus some black cherries that, under the recommendation of the arborist, be removed also, for a total of 24 trees in the buffer only to be saved.
So then how many trees are being removed?
Mr. Minor, can you answer that? How many trees are being removed roughly?
Uh, 92.
92. So, I don't know. It doesn't seem to coincide with the board's decision, which emphasized the preservation of existing trees. So
How many are being replanted though? How many trees are being replanted?
Total on the site are 126.
No, just in the 80-foot buffer.
In the 80-foot buffer. You would ask me that. I think it's around 12 to 15. I don't have that number in front of me right now.
Just,
But the trees that were being removed, they were deemed to be less than
They
6.
were evaluated by the arborist as being dead, in fair or poor condition, or invasive.
and
And
just
as-
based on the plan schedule, Mr. Chair, it looks like there are 16 trees being added, 19 evergreen trees. And then 5 flowering trees as part of that, as well as 18 shrubs.
So what's the total? So say that again, 16?
It is 16 under code trees, 19 under evergreen trees, and then 5 flowering trees, and then 18 shrubs.
I did also want to mention that some of the work that's proposed here is within the 100-foot wetland buffer and would require the applicant to obtain separate approval from the Bridgewater Concom. So I just wanted to mention that with regard to your decision on this. The actual decision itself from January 3rd should be updated to include the language from the DEP superseding order of conditions that was issued on October 15th. I provided you with the clause and hope that that will be part of the modification to the decision on Zero Corporate Drive. And that concludes my comments. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other public comment?
Do we have any virtual comments? Anyone their hand raised or chat?
Mr. Chair, can I just make a quick clarification there on a point?
I better introduce
Oh.
myself.
Just state your name and address.
Thank you. My name's Pat Neri on Lakeside Drive. And I know you're talking about the buffer, but I wanted to simply show you the amount of trees that will be cut later on. And I think Mr. Brennan just mentioned that that would be addressed later, but I'm not sure because I can't hear very well back there. So this is the area in front of the hotel, and I don't know if you folks have addressed this at all. This is all going to be cut, and they don't need to do this for the roadway. And I know that tonight we're supposed to be talking about the buffer, but the trees are so important, and I think you all know that. And your work is important. You people control all of this. Tom does their job, you do your job. But
And I don't have the tree cutting schedule in front of us, but wasn't that limited in the decision? Didn't we limit that tree cutting?
I believe there was something mentioned as part of the condition.
I would like to know about that so I can, put this to rest. But I did want to remind you that that's a possibility, that this is all going to be clear cut. Because the roadway is over here, the hotel's back here. I mean, it's insane that we would even consider allowing that. But the other thing I wanted to mention, I'm very pleased that this meeting is a hybrid because then I could show you that poster. But I also want to remind you that this is an area that they plan to regrade and clear cut, and they don't have to do that. I know that this landscape plan is supposed to be for the buffer, but I really want to remind you that the plan and presentation to the planning board must demonstrate preservation of existing trees and screening. This is from the Bridgewater zoning regulations. Preservation of existing vegetation. Priority shall be given to the preservation of existing stands of trees and trees at site perimeter. Contiguous vegetation with adjacent sites, particularly existing sites, protected through conservation. Understory vegetation beneath the drip line of preserved trees shall be retained in an undisturbed state. Now, these are our zoning regulations. So because a developer wants to clean it out and have a view of the building, we can't allow that. So just please try to keep that in mind. And there is only one thing that can convert carbon dioxide into oxygen, and that is a tree. So please protect these trees, whether it's tonight or down the road. Please protect the trees. Thank you. Thank you for listening.
Thank you.
And I don't have I don't have that full site plan in front of us right now, so I don't know where the limit of clearing is based on.
Well, I would say based on what we're currently looking at now, there is, if you look on the screen right now, what we typically would see for a tree boundary as represented in a cloud form, what we typically would see for, trees and other areas that, are typically provided.
A lot of that seems to be remaining in that lower area.
Yeah, I think we just need to acknowledge it and consider that as part of.
That is another lot, correct? That's
Could be, yeah.
lot 7, I think I heard somebody refer to that as. That's not on
I-
the hotel plan. That is
I bel-
adjacent land.
I believe it's,
It is.
It's-
I don't know.
I'm talking about where Pat just said, that whole area that you may have noticed in her photo. I know we're not talking about that tonight, but is that what's going to be clear cut? And is that part of this site plan?
I haven't seen it in 2 years. I'd have to look at
I
it.
understand. Okay.
Thank you. Ray Ajamian, Aldridge Road. To be clear, I was sitting on this board when this plan was approved, and I'm now chair of the tree committee. I just want to make you aware that the tree committee is around and we would like to be involved in things like this. We're not against development. We just want to work with developers to come up with a landscape plan that is beneficial to the developer and the town. And things like he brought up the idea of clear cutting. In many cases, clear cutting is simply something simple to do and it makes it easier for the developer. But in many cases, it doesn't have to be done. I mean, even in terms of the hotel being seen, there are various ways of that happening. I mean, years ago, I used to travel at work every week nationwide to different businesses and hotels, and many of them were in the back with signs leading to it. My only point is that I would hope that as this town develops, that developers work with committees like the tree committee, open space and so forth, to come up with a compromise so that the town grows gradually and in an ordered fashion so that we can all value from the development and saving parts of our trees, which can be done. And I think we're doing it, but I just want to make it clear that we are involved. We have a new tree warden. He's very qualified. And he's already come to use in terms of looking at the trees in the common. So I just want to make sure you're aware that we want to be involved. We're against the idea of clear cutting unless there's some discussion about it. But we want to move forward as a unit. Thank you.
Thank you.
So Mr. Minor, just to be clear, I do want as many trees preserved as possible, but I think you said the reason for those trees being removed are they're either invasive or fair or poor condition. Is that correct?
Correct.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair, if I may. Just have a question for Mr. Jimmy, if he's still there.
He said,
Mr. Jimmy, what would be a practical way to have your board help us in this matter before us? We're pretty deep along the process already, so just curious
Well,
if you have any thoughts on that.
I think if we're simply notified with a copy of the plans every time something comes forward like this, it'd be good. We can even have the tree warden look at them. I mean, he knows his stuff.
we can send it to the tree committee just like we do every other.
That'd be great.
I guess as well too is as well as through our kind of our technical review process moving forward, I can ask for the tree warden to be in attendance as well too. If you can just provide his contact information to me, so we can.
Can I make one other side comment? In listening to you with major and minor modification, that discussion that which went on, 15 minutes or so, it occurred to me, somebody told me at one time that some planning boards have the town attorney sitting at every meeting.
We don't have that kind of money.
Just the comment, that's all.
I do agree though, with Mr. Jimmy. Absolutely, we should have that stuff forwarded over to them. And I think Mr. Ryan's idea of having the tree warden on site for these kind of things would be a great move going forward.
Any other discussion on this? Attorney Brennan, do you have anything to add?
I would just like to point out that there was discussion about, it was a long process through the site plan approval, I'm sure you recall. And there was some discussion with the tree committee at the time and the property owners contributing a $25,000 to the town to be used for trees anywhere in the town. It doesn't have to be on this site.
And I told you that was the case, Mr. Jimmy, and you didn't believe that was in there. Remember? So when you sat on this board, we did, another part of this whole tree thing is they did agree to tree mitigation for the hotel.
I don't remember.
Yeah, I know there's some, after we discussed it, and I don't think we did, there is tree mitigation as well as this review process for that project.
We do appreciate that, and zoning does allow for mitigation.
No, I think you probably, as the tree liaison on the committee at the time, I think you probably worked that out. But I know that question came up before in one of the meetings, and I don't think I ever responded to you. I think you asked at one of the meetings in regards to this, and I went back and looked at the decision letter, and there is some sort of mitigation. If Attorney Brennan saying it's 25,000 for trees, I believe him.
Just to be clear, mitigation's on, but we also want.
Right.
Proper.
Right. But I know you had asked that, and until Attorney Brennan said that, I forgot to mention that.
So I think with Mr. Minor's design and the planting schedule, it shows leaving the 24 good, healthy native species on the site. The planting schedule shows an additional 58 plantings of various kinds, which comply with the native to Plymouth County. That's 82 new plantings. And if there were 90 trees in disrepair or poor condition that are coming out, I think that's a pretty good quid pro quo. These will all be new, healthy trees and shrubs and plantings. And I think it'll look very nice, and I think it'll accomplish the goal of the board when they put that condition on the site plan. So I'd ask the board to accept the site plan as satisfying the condition in the site plan approval requiring the 80-foot. It's actually site plan condition of approval number 1 on page 4 of the decision.
So I understand Mrs. Ramondada's comment that that's a lot of trees being removed, but I think that we did ask for an arborist to evaluate them, and if the arborist is saying that many are diseased or invasive, and we're replacing them with native plants, I think that even though I don't like the number of trees being removed, it's if they have been determined by Bartlett arborists to be.
You may recall the gentleman from Bartlett was here at the on the August, and the board had various discussions with him, and he put on a presentation at that time. And, there is a lot of dense growth, invasive species there. It's not, an attractive stand of trees right now, but it could be.
Okay, thank you. So this was just an acceptance of this plan. It's a requirement. It's not an approval. We just accept the landscape plan.
Yeah, it's based on a condition of approval as part of this. So it wasn't necessarily a public hearing. We'll have for public comment. This is just kind of the board taking after a condition of the decision to make a determination of the appropriateness of the landscaping plan based on the previous conversations and decision.
So does somebody want to make a motion to either accept or not accept the landscape plan if we feel we've talked about it enough?
I'll make a motion to approve landscape plan.
Motion by Mr. Praddy. Do a second? Second. Mr. Geller. Any discussion? Mr. McDonald?
Yes.
Bobrowski?
Yes.
Mr. Praddy?
Yes.
Mr. Geller?
Yes.
No, yes. Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, folks.
Thank you.
All right, so why are you there, Mr. Attorney Brown?
Oh, yes, we have one more matter.
So, item 6, 0 Corporate Drive, 0 Pleasant Street. Claremont Bridgewater Hotel 2 LLC. It's a site plan review and a special permit for extension. This was a planning board decision on January 3rd. We did receive a request on November 21st from BSK Attorneys at Law, addressed to the planning board, asking for an extension until, I'll read the letter. It says, on January 3rd, 2024, the Bridgewater Planning Board approved the site plan for the above entitled project. The board's decision was filed with the town clerk on January 24th, 2024. The site plan approval is valid for 2 years from that date. While the application for the site plan approval was pending before the board, the Bridgewater Conservation Commission, CONCOM, was also holding a public hearing on a notice of intent from the same project. On December 5th, 2024, the CONCOM issued an order of conditions. The order was appealed to the DEP by the neighbors. On October 15, 2025, the DEP issued a superseding order of conditions upholding the decision of the CONCOM. From January 24th, 2024 until October 15, 2025, while the DEP appeal was pending, the applicant could not proceed with the project. Due to the 20-month delay, the project caused by appeal of the order of conditions, I am respectfully requesting that the board conclude that such delay arises to good cause and extend the site plan approval for 2 years from January 24th to January 4th, 2026, pursuant to 10.6.10 of the Bridgewater zoning ordinance, copy attached. Your anticipated cooperation. Sincerely, Edmund J. Brennan Jr. 10.6 was included. It says just what it says in the letter. 10.6.10, site plan approval shall lapse if substantial use thereof or construction thereunder has not begun, except for good cause, within 24 months following the filing of a decision, plus such time required to pursue and await the determination of appeal referred to in MGL Chapter 48, Section 17, from the grant thereof with the town clerk. And we also did receive an email today from Mr. O'Brien, and it's from Melissa Ramandata regarding the timeline in regards to the appeal, and mentioning the superseding order. So we received all that information. Is there any discussion on the extension request or?
I mean, everyone knows my thoughts on the project, but I mean, this is clearly a good cause for a delay. A delay. I don't see any choice but to grant the extension.
Okay, so for the Melissa Raymondetta, Lakeside Drive, Bridgewater, thanks for hearing my comments. I contacted you to let you know that in the applicant's extension request letter, which is going to go in the file, a statement within that letter is flawed. And the statement is, due to the 20-month delay of the project caused by the appeal of the order of conditions. Well, this statement is incorrect, and I have provided you with an extensive timeline. The request for superseding denial order of conditions by 10 residents was dated December 18th, 2024, and the superseding order of conditions issued by DEP was issued on October 15th, 2025, or approximately 10 months after the appeal was filed, not 20 months, as is incorrectly noted in the November 21st, 2025 extension request letter by the applicant. And this is being used as the premise for good cause as a basis for an extension. So I would argue that the extension letter is flawed, should not be part of this file, and that this matter should be redone. We need to do a redo and a new letter that's correct, because this is not correct.
Have you ever made a typo, Mrs. Ramadetta?
It's not a typo. It's mentioned twice in the letter.
But just for clarification, up until November 14th, 2024, it was with the Concom, correct?
It was with the Concom for 17 months.
And then, so it looks like after we approved it, it wasn't approved at Concom for 11 months after that. Is that correct? 10 months?
Approximately 17 months.
No, we approved it on January 3rd, correct?
Well, it would have, so yes, it would have been then January 3rd through December 5th.
No, so wait a minute. So we approved it on January 3rd.
Right.
If they were still with Concom until November 14th, 2024, they couldn't start. Is that correct?
The Concom's decision date was December 5th, 2024.
All right, right, but at the meeting on November 14th, the commission voted to close the hearing and voted to approve the project. The commission issued the order of conditions on December 5th, right? So they couldn't do anything until after December 5th. Is that correct?
Correct.
And then it was appealed on,
It was appealed on December 18th.
so it's basically either with Concom or with the appeal.
Two different agencies. You've got a local Concom and you've got a state agency. So it was,
But my point is both of those prevented them from starting, correct?
yes, but what I'm telling you is the statement due to the 20-month delay of the project caused by the appeal of the order of conditions. The Concom issues an order of conditions, which they did on December 5th. And then the appeal began on December 18th. So the statements.
So I mean,
flawed.
basically it should say is what you're saying is the delay due to the Concom approval process and the appeal should be 20 months.
It can be put in any way that they want to put it, but you cannot say, we have documentation to prove this, that the appeal of the order of conditions took 20 months. It didn't. It didn't. It was 10 months.
But I think as far as what we're considering here is that, just the way I look at it, is they couldn't start whether it was under Concom or the appeal.
So they can fix this by a new letter.
A new letter.
Depending on what we.
Correct. Yeah. I mean, this can be fixed by a new letter, but this letter should not go forward in the file.
Okay.
Therefore, I'm saying this extension shouldn't even be discussed this evening.
Well, we know that
Yeah,
those two added up to a period of time.
right.
We're gonna vote based on an extension of a period of time.
Okay.
Then we can correct it with any letter you want. That's not a problem.
Yeah, I mean, I think before anything is in writing and this, I mean, it needs to be corrected. So,
We can condition.
okay.
Yeah, you can speak.
I have some other comments.
Anything you want.
All right, I do have another handout, sorry.
And I understand what you're saying, but I think the delay is still the same. Thank you.
Oh, sorry. So, with regard to the decision, It has been almost 2 years and a lot's happened, including the water supply emergency. And a recent letter from William Young to Justin Casanova Davis, town manager, indicated that Bridgewater would not allow any new service connections above 1 inch until the water system maintenance and infrastructure projects are complete. So we would appreciate the board's comments on that. In addition to that, there are other binding conditions that should be reviewed by the board and included in the decision to ensure full compliance. And this is a big one. Midstream through this process for the approval of this hotel, a special permit application was withdrawn, and the McNeil and Associates 1988, at the time 35-year-old special permit was introduced, and a site plan review proceeded. This document is not part of the material plans and exhibits accompanying application with this decision, and it should be, because this special permit states that this developer has 100,000 gallons per day of water use. I think the residents of this town deserve some transparency, and this document needs to be attached to this decision. And with regard to the water, it needs to be mentioned in the decision. In addition, there's language from the,
For the water.
Yep.
We did, I believe, did we establish a 53G account? For this hotel?
I don't believe we had a 53G for this one.
What we're doing, are we doing a water?
We're doing 53G for Encompass. This is 2023.
Oh, sorry.
so also there was the language from the superseding order of conditions that you just discussed during the discussion about the landscaping plan. That should also be added to this decision. There are other provisions in the superseding order of conditions, including clause 2 related to elevation of BLSF. 3-4 clauses 3-4 address the erosion control barrier. Clause 5 addresses prevention of erosion of disturbed and exposed soil surfaces, and clause 6 addresses removal of debris. There are other things. I've mentioned the water. A site plan that removes the 14 parking spaces that were promised to be removed. That hasn't happened.
We don't have that plan? This latest
I
plan
haven't
with the
seen it.
landscape doesn't show the 14 spots removed?
I believe it does because the landscaping was incorporated in those parking spaces. So initially, those parking spaces were shown in that landscaping buffer, and that's when the board requested that 80-foot buffer be. That would require a modification to the other plans like we discussed with other projects. But right now, we were kind of specific to the landscaping plan currently before the board. So that would be something that would come for an endorsement plan. The endorsed plans would have to reflect the changes made in the conditions.
In addition to that, there is nothing in the decision document with regard to the locked gate or mechanism by which the gate would be opened and closed by emergency vehicles. This is at the park and ride. There was nothing in terms of attachments from the fire department in writing indicating the need for this emergency access driveway. There is no mention in the document about the protection of the stone chamber. There is a requirement for MIPA and the special review procedure dated August 1st that because, and I'm going to have to read it because I can't summarize it, because further disclosures are anticipated for lots 4, 6, and 7 condominium units or other development, the proponent is directed to engage in construction activity only to the extent necessary to implement portions of the project for which full information was provided by the time of the MPC FEAR, namely the hotel, Lot 7, restaurant, Northern Lot, and cafe. Any common infrastructure that will extend into lots 4, 6, and 7 condominium unit portion, such as roadways and utilities, should be constructed only to the extent needed to facilitate development of the hotel, restaurant, and cafe. So I would ask that you take a look at that as well. And I just wanted to mention, I did attach here the Mass General laws about special permits and the town of Bridgewater zoning ordinances with regard to special permits, and they lapse if they're not used within up to 3 years. And the first building on this site did not appear till after 1999, so it's an 11-year lapse of time. And we're looking at a 37-year-old special permit attached to the project. Thank you.
Thank you.
So Shane, you mentioned that in review of the MIPA filing, you don't believe any MIPA requirements need to be.
Well, there are permits outside the realm of this board that could affect this, but we haven't received endorsed plans on this too. So I've provided the information regarding them.
And just because we haven't signed MyLars or anything for this?
No.
We haven't?
There was, the landscaping plan was the last piece of the puzzle.
But just
What, and as far as Mrs. Ramadada brought it to our attention that the landscaping has to comply with native species, and there are there some MIPA requirements that are required to adjust the site plan at some point?
I don't think so. We would have, I don't recall the MIPA decision is extensive. I don't know if you had a chance to see it or not, but it's pretty comprehensive. Whether there's any reference in there to the native species, but we've complied with the superseding order, which is the state regulation on what we can plant there. And we've done that. I think we have to get the landscaping plan now has been approved. Everything will be put together, presented to the board for endorsement. And if there's any changes as a result of other permits to that plan, and that set of plans has to be modified, we'll be working off a final set that we would bring back to the board and ask for a minor modification or whatever the board deemed would be appropriate. But I think we have to get the landscaping plan, which has now been approved, incorporated into the final set and present them to the board for endorsement. And if there are any changes as a result of the superseding order, which I don't think there are, and if there were any changes as a result of the MIPA certificate, I don't think there are, we would have to then present them subsequently. It's just an orderly process to do it that way. It's not piecemeal. And as far as the request, a point well taken from Mrs. Ramandata on that, I didn't word that very well. Due to 20-month delay of the project caused by the appeal. That's not correct. It was a 20-month delay in the process of securing the order of conditions, which included the appeal time. So, I can redraft that, or I can put it on the record now that what I meant is the 20-month delay caused by securing the final superseding order of conditions. So that, she is correct in that regard. What's the effect in the end result? I don't think anything, but the record can reflect that it was 20 months to secure the final superseding order.
Thoughts?
I'm sorry?
I'm just talking.
I'm sorry.
What thoughts on it?
no, just two comments. Steve's just staring at me like, say something. No, I think that I think at some point they're going to have to come in for a minor modification because that landscaping plan did reflect where parking used to be. So there may be questions about drainage and how that would be redesigned. If there's any catch basins that would have to be redesigned in that area. So I do expect prior to endorsement, at least another minor modification for the plans to reflect that. I think that they just wanted to get through this landscaping plan and then kind of go from there. But just based on kind of some of the concerns brought up by abutters and typical requests that this board has kind of seen, the request is for 2 years. I feel like it would be more appropriate to look at this for extension for 1 year. And then once we get to 2027, we can look at it and see where progress is made and then kind of go from there to see if there's any additional time and see where the status of the project is from there.
I also think that we should include as conditions of the extension that any MIPA requirements for this site or any of the requirements of the superseding order be incorporated in any final plan set, just, or,
I wouldn't latch conditions on an extension like that. I would say that the existing decision is currently in place and all other permits that are outside the board's purview is now kind of coming into the forefront of the board's purview.
we can condition. it.
Sure. Yeah, you can, if you want to, yeah. I'm just saying, we'll still be treating it the same.
The state will take care of that far better than we could.
Well, I just think, there are some good comments in here, and I was unaware of the superseding order until Mrs. Ramadada brought it up, and I was unaware of the MIPA. So I think if we're aware of that and we're considering extending a project out, if we were open to extending the project, we could just meet those additional requirements that were put on you by the state, that's all.
Is that in our jurisdiction though? Because MIPA is more on the like conservation side of things. I agree with you in practice. I just don't know if we can actually do that.
We just enforced it on the tree planting, right? So, I mean,
We did our due diligence, I think, on that.
well, and that's all I'm saying, just do our due diligence, like, if there's
Sure.
something that's
I have no objection to putting it in. I just want to make sure,
When we gave up the, I think it was 14 spaces or so and incorporated the 80-foot into the 80-foot buffer. At that time, we talked about eliminating the spaces, and I think that was taken into consideration
That was done.
by the engineers at that time. So I think it takes care of itself, but I understand.
Well,
your
what I'm
concern.
saying is, like you said, that MIPA document is big, and
We're bound by it.
Right.
We are bound by it.
so I just want to make sure that even though you're bound by it, there's nothing wrong with saying the planning board just wants you to update the plans if required by MIPA or the superseding order.
Okay.
Yeah, I think Mr. Driscoll's got a point there.
Shane, are you familiar with any of these other things that, I know they did design around the stone structure, is there anything else that we?
Regarding the comment letter? I would say that the appropriateness of all this would really kind of be reflective of the endorsed plans. What the board approved at those last meeting, I would say the 1988 decision was definitely considered as part of that. That was a communication within the folder that we've had in terms of the review process. And it's been called out in the minutes and discussed to a high extent, in favor of it or from a negative aspect. But yeah, I would say that, the superseding order conditions, we've acknowledged them through the landscaping plan. But yeah, in terms of endorsed plans,
Just on what we looked at tonight.
yeah, the endorsed plans that based on the approval of the landscaping plan and what we see, I will review it based on the planning board's decision, based on the approved plans and make sure it's appropriate prior to endorsement, Mr. Chair. So you yourself
But I-
sign those plans and
Right, but what I'm saying is, I just want to put it, if we extend it, there's a superseding order. The landscape plan that we have, that we approved originally, may not comply with this, correct?
yeah, I didn't review that landscaping plan, and then we saw a landscaping plan today that showed the entirety of the site. But yeah, I reviewed based on the landscaping plan provided to us. It still needs to be
But,
a complete review of that landscaping plan based on that superseding order.
right, and I'm saying that, why does that hurt to put that in the
If you'd like to, it doesn't hurt it. It just adds.
I mean, if two orders came in after we approved the site plan, and now we're looking to extend it, why wouldn't we address those in the extension?
Regarding the MIPA and the superseding order. Different boards. The superseding order is based on the order of conditions. It's not a superseding order of the decision you guys made.
But it affects things like landscape.
Yeah, and we reviewed and we have taken that into account as part of review. So I provided a memorandum for the landscaping plan provided today where I reviewed it. And when we get a full site landscaping plan, I'd be happy to review that as well.
That's what I'm saying, though, Shane. Like, we haven't reviewed the full site plan, landscape plan yet.
I know, and that's what we do prior to endorsement. They're looking to extend it because their decision is expiring in a couple weeks. So rather than us rush to endorse it and they build a building in a couple days, they're looking to extend it out where we have the time, they have the time based on what occurred in court and the timing of the order of conditions, where we can keep them in line.
They're bound, they have to meet the order anyways.
I think the board has seen the full site plan, but for the landscaping.
Yeah, right.
The last time.
Maybe I'm not making myself clear. After we approved the site plan and the landscape plan, there was a superseding order and a MIPA decision, right? All I'm saying is if we extend it, we just want to make sure that those two orders.
Yeah, you guys can
Well, I
put that as part of your conditions on your
Right.
extension.
Right. That's what
I'm saying you could keep it, you can keep it simple or add conditions. You can do that with any decision or motion you seem fit.
I would put the conditions in it.
Yeah. What are your thoughts?
For the extension?
Yeah.
Talking about the one you extended?
Extension, yeah.
With the conditions, absolutely.
So you want to do a motion to extend it 1 year?
1 year.
1 year.
Based on change.
With the two
Make
conditions.
sure that the plans reflect any necessary changes based on the NEPA filing and the superseding order.
Do you have any objection to that, Attorney Brennan?
We're bound by those anyways, we have to do whatever they require. So even if that condition wasn't put on it, before we could get a building permit, we would have to comply with those, which may trigger a trip back to this board.
I just want to make
So,
sure.
so that's a no, then.
We-
You don't have any objections.
I not come back for 6 months or something, so just so we,
So condition 7 in the decision states, if any changes are made at the request of other agencies, boards or commissions to the approved plan, the applicant shall be required to come before the planning board for a modification hearing to review such changes prior to the commencement of construction, implementation of the changes, and certificate of occupancy.
So it's already there.
So my point is, you're adding to your decision already that's being extended.
So it doesn't need to be there.
all right, so we have a motion by Mr. Praddy to extend for 1 year.
Yes.
Do we have a second?
Second.
By Mr. Fabrowski, any discussion? Mr. McDonald,
Yes.
Fabrowski?
Yes.
Praddy?
Here are just some of the efforts that we have underway, and you will see in your wallets and bank accounts in the new year.
Thought there was a ventriloquist in the room earlier. I couldn't figure out where it was coming from.
And could you,
Oh, it's gonna be in the bank account.
could you, just clarify that letter?
I will. I'll follow up letter and say as the 20 months was in order to secure the superseding order.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Sean.
Thank you.
Shane, we just got when did we get them? I didn't look at the updated minutes. Did anybody else look at them?
Yes, I did.
What do we have for minutes, Shane?
We have all the minutes that are mentioned on the agenda.
I looked at all,
All right, so do we have a motion to accept May 28th,
I will make that motion. All three of them. I will
June
make that
4th
motion.
and June 18th? All
Yes,
up on
you have
20
that motion.
By Mr. Praddy, do we have a second?
Second.
Mr. Geller, any discussion? Mr. McDonald? Mr. McDonald?
Is that one?
I'm sorry.
you-
Yes. Sorry
Uh,
about that.
Geller?
Yes.
Mr. Praddy?
Yes,
Mr. Fabrowski?
Yes.
I'm a yes, okay. Are we
thank
good?
you, ladies.
Are we good, Shane, or do we need
For,
anything else, any planners reports, or,
yeah, we'll go through the list. We gotta go through the list.
all right, any board items for next
Yeah,
meeting?
So we have continued items, Encompass is on for the next meeting. My expectation from based on the past emails that I've gotten is that I'm expecting at least the water impact study be completed next week, in order for them to be on the, January 7th meeting. So trying to, once I get that information over, I can provide it and we can have a discussion, or they can provide, everyone will review it and then we can kind of go from there. As well as 1010 Elm Street. still progressing along with conservation in terms of contacting the LSP. But that one's moving very slowly just based on the enforcement issues and corrections going on over there. So that's the expectation for January 7th. If anyone has anything they want to add to that meeting or any discussions, we can include that as well.
Just a question on the Encompass thing you mentioned, Mr. Bryan. With the current water crisis, like how do we handle projects coming before us? Like, do we have to take that in consideration, or is that just kind of whatever the water department says kind of goes?
It's a loaded question.
Well, I know it is, but it has to be asked, I think.
Part of it was addressed through town council last night. I can provide a copy of the water emergency declaration to the town.
Question posed to you is a purview of this board or not? Do we take it?
Exactly. Yes,
I think-
exactly. Mr. Brady put it well.
I think that you guys should always take in consideration everything that's within your purview in such a superfluous way of saying something. I think we're going to try to do a better job in terms of communication from our department as well as DPW. You know, Greg attends all the meetings. But I hope to kind of bring a better clarification to you guys. You know, we're working through it. You know, as the town manager stated, he's looking for, you know, no tie-ins for non-approved projects. But we still got to kind of roll through some of the punches. So, you know, I think the benefit that we have, not to speak on other projects before us, but we saw a project before us today that incorporated private wells and private septic. And one of those considerations as part of, you know, planning board is to minimize impact. So, you know, some people move and shake, others, you know, I think that we're currently in that water emergency. So we just kind of have to see where it goes and have a direction for you guys, and especially to keeping not only board members informed, but applicants, developers, to see where we are to, one, get out of this emergency and progress and see where we're at in terms of future development as well as current development as well.
I guess to put it more bluntly, is water usage in my purview, or am I bound to go by what the water department tells me?
What we're going to look for is we're going to try to get you guys water impact studies for all these projects that come before you guys through these 53 Gs, if it is a concern of the planning board, and then we'll kind of go from there based on that review.
So Michael, if you look at our rules and regs, if you look at zoning for larger projects, we have to determine adequacy of utilities. So, and this is what I was saying when that Plymouth Street came in and they didn't have perk tests. Like, they're supposed to have perk tests for each lot, and within 45 days, that Board of Health is supposed to let us know whether it's suitable or not, which we typically don't get, right, from the Board of Health.
They receive plans, but it's a matter of if they comment or not.
And the water department is supposed to comment as well, and we're supposed to determine whether the land has adequate utilities. So if they say there's adequate water supply, then they say that. If they say there isn't, then I don't know how we determine adequacy of utilities,
So we're bound by the recommendation then? I see Mr. Solari shaking his head, so.
I mean, it's a utility, just like National Grid, right? If National Grid says they have capacity, we can't tell them they can't hook up to National Grid. So,
Makes sense. I just wanted the clarification, just, you know, given the situation.
so just, are you good, Shane? Anything else?
Regarding, well, that I was just responding to Michael's question. I have like two other things for MBT. Well, I was going to mention last night, MBTA Communities was voted on by town council. It was approved in a 7-2 vote. So we'll send the information over to the state regarding, and hopefully being fully compliant regarding that. So, but your recommendation letter was provided to town council and they acted.
And I hope we can work on amendments ASAP down there to increase commercial and stuff like that. So we'll work on that.
Okay. I was looking something up. I totally forgot what it was.
Just
It's tough to like man the camera and we'll talk, and like it was 7-2. I won't specify names. You can watch the meeting.
Anyone know some good real estate in New Hampshire?
To get that amendment. That's why it's. Are we good? Motion to adjourn if Mr. O'Brien's done?
Yeah, I'm good.
So moved.
Is there
Oh.
anybody that has any public comment?
Yep, sorry.
Anyone on the chat online? Everyone else here left. Yeah, we have a Linda with her hand raised. Linda, if you unmute yourself, you can speak.
Linda Schmuck, Sunset Lane. I would like to take Attorney Brennan up on his offer to reword the letter concerning the 10-month and 20-month.
Yeah, he agreed to do that. He's submitting that.
Okay, he offered, but I didn't know if it was agreed upon. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other people looking to speak? Raise your virtual hand. At this time, I see no virtual hands raised.
All right,
Motion to adjourn.
item 8, adjournment by Mr. Praddy. Do a second?
Second.
Mr. McDonald, any discussion? Mr. Fabrowski? Mr. McDonald?
Yes.
Mr. Geller?
Yes.
Praddy?
Yes.
And I'm a yes.
Merry Christmas,
Thank
happy
you.
holidays, everyone.
You too.
Merry Christmas. Thank you.
When are we bringing the Christmas parties back?
You guys.